Do 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 do. Sorry, I can't do it anymore. Oh, geez. So, Russ isn't here, and I don't know what happened to him. He won't respond to my messages. I'm all lost and all alone. Which means I don't have any of the information and preparatory stuff available. So you get me in a solo episode, wholly unprepared. I mean, not wholly unprepared. I do have the topics kind of picked out. I have quickfire. I have a lot of quickfire, so I guess I'll talk about those things. Welcome to the Coin Drop Podcast. This is episode 74. This would be Tim solo instead of Russ solo like it was last week. And I'm going to do my best to give you an informative episode. I need to share this stuff, although the Twitch doesn't appear to be showing properly, because I don't see myself on it at all. That's fantastic. What about my YouTube? Is my YouTube showing correctly? I need to check this stuff. Restream apparently isn't working very well. The YouTube is live, and it is showing. Yay. So, in any case, let's start. I guess I can start by saying that there's a Patreon at hell, I don't even know the link off the top of my head. It's Coin Drop Pod. I think it's Patreon.com/Coin Drop Pod. I'm pretty sure that's it. You can join us. You'll have all the links in there. Eventually, it'll be thrown in there and edited. Thank you, Mike or Russ. Not Mike. Russ. I guess let me pull up my topics and we can talk about a few things. I wrote down a decent number of things simply because they were all interesting. There was a decent amount of stuff that happened. Nothing major, nothing like super big, huge, oh my god, we got to talk about this. But there was enough information that was newsworthy. Maybe not necessarily newsworthy. Enough to be like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. In any case, I think the bigger things that were confirmed, I would say, two of them had to do with Microsoft, and we'll go ahead and get into those first. So, the leaker who confirmed or leaked, I guess, that Microsoft would start making first-party games on PlayStation, Nintendo, or other devices, basically go third-party, he was obviously proven right, because Microsoft has released several games since then. He has now come out and stated that pretty much absolutely everything Microsoft is making is coming to other platforms. He was more adamant about them being PlayStation, like everything, absolutely everything they're making. We're talking Gears, we're talking Halo, Forza, etc., and so on. You name it, they're making it. They're making it for PlayStation as well. Now, he didn't really mention Nintendo because that stuff's still in such secrecy that who knows? I mean, obviously, we saw that two of those games skipped the Nintendo due to the fact that the Switch wouldn't really be able to handle that stuff. And so they skipped Nintendo. And I would be willing to bet that a good portion of what they're making will also come to the Switch 2 or whatever the hell it's called, in mine and Russ's hope. That would be the Nintendo Game Boy. But we'll see. There's a supposed thing that actually I didn't write this down. I should have. Actually, I can pull it up really quickly. Give me a quick second. Our editor posted in the discussion topics that Nintendo was doing some sort of play test, and I don't know if it's on the future Switch or a certain game. It says, the article title states, the mysterious Nintendo Switch playtest has seemingly leaked, and it looks like a Minecraft meets MMO game. Okay, so never mind. This has nothing to do with the follow-up Switch. So, that's something else we can talk about. I'll get to that in a minute. In any case, Microsoft is basically making everything for rival platforms. It was only a matter of time. Russ and I have been saying this for months at this point, and obviously it's going to happen. I mean, their games sold really well on PlayStation and Nintendo. So why would you take money away from yourself at this point? I mean, they've bought so many different developers and publishers, two publishers, but so many developers that there's no way that they can manage to keep it up that way. Actually, there was a Forbes article. It was a Forbes article. If it wasn't Forbes, it was Business Insider, which both of those are surprisingly good sources of news these days. It's something I would have never expected. Forbes, just never. Would have never expected that. In any case, they wrote that Call of Duty on Game Pass is a make or break situation for Microsoft and more specifically Game Pass. If releasing Call of Duty on Game Pass ends up totally screwing the sales of the game, then that's not good. That's actually, I want to say that I saw another article that stated that the PlayStation is sort of poised to make more money than Microsoft is off of this due to royalties. I don't know how that would be possible, given Microsoft owns them, and obviously they're not going to give a bigger portion to PlayStation, but I don't know. I mean, maybe they're going to... I have no idea. That's such a strange thing to me. It makes no sense. But the make or break strategy or claim makes far more sense in my opinion, because we've known for years at this point. This is probably why Microsoft was reticent to release Call of Duty on Game Pass. But we've known for years that Xbox gamers don't really buy games anymore. They buy a little bit, but not much. The majority of the stuff that they play is on Game Pass. And why would you buy games? You know, $10 or now I guess $20 a month, and you get everything. Not everything, because there's games that skip Game Pass, but you get enough and you get your money's worth. So why would you spend $60, $50, $60, $70 on a brand new game when you can just wait for it to come to Game Pass? And so Call of Duty is that perfect example. Actually, a major Xbox influencer on X recently did a poll, and he basically said, if Call of Duty comes to Game Pass, would you still buy it? And it was like 87% of people said no. Why would I buy Call of Duty at that point? It was, and then, like, there was almost 11,000 votes. Like I said, he's an influencer. He's a relatively big influencer at that. And so the majority of Xbox gamers aren't going to be buying Black Ops. And I mean, we know there's not a whole lot of them as far as in comparison to PlayStation, but still a large number of people. And I'd be highly willing to bet that a lot of people won't buy it on PlayStation because there's a fair enough overlap of people who own both consoles. And if you have Game Pass, why would you buy it on PlayStation? Because, you know, like, it just doesn't make any sense. Go spend $20 and go play it on Xbox, unless, you know, someone like me, which again, we know this isn't going to be the majority of players, gets a PlayStation 5 Pro and they want to play the better version of it there. But I don't know. In the long term, the make or break strategy, I think they're right. It was, by the way, a GameIndustry.biz article rather than Forbes, and of course, it's an opinion piece, and there's nothing set in stone. But man, if this game, we've been able to see how well Call of Duty has sold over the past, you know, decade plus, and we've been able to see direct numbers. We know Microsoft doesn't like to release direct numbers, but it will be interesting to see what happens, because something's going to happen either way when it comes to Game Pass and what Microsoft does. But, you know, it's it'll be interesting to see what happens. And, you know, who knows? Maybe it'll do really well. I highly doubt that. I think the sales are going to decrease by a pretty large margin, because why wouldn't they? There's a lot of people that aren't going to buy it. But their player count I can see going up, simply because more people can play it at a cheaper price. And maybe that's all they care about. Maybe they're going to figure out how to increase sales via microtransactions, and that'll be enough. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's one of those things that's rather interesting, and I don't know how it's going to work out for them. And I don't really know how would I say, I really don't know how to predict that one, but we'll see. Next things next. That's not an appropriate term, but I did mention that I had more than one bit of news or topics about Microsoft, and the other one is not a good one, if you ask me. It's actually a really bad one. Microsoft, this year alone, since January, many of these layoffs are Activision. People that worked for the Activision Blizzard company before Microsoft bought them. I don't know if all, not, I don't know. Not all of them are, but a large portion of them are. They were laid off due to the acquisition, even though Microsoft said they wouldn't fire anybody after the acquisition, which was obviously a lie. But in any case, 2,600, near 2,600, I think it's like 2,550, somewhere around that number. But near 2,600 people have been laid off this year by Microsoft. And guess who's getting a raise? The Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, however you say that name. He is getting a 63% raise, which amounts to, I believe, $73 million a year, I think is what the number is now, is how much he makes. So consider that being like a $35 to $40 million raise is what he just got every year. And someone did the math, and I don't remember the numbers, and I didn't look at them very hard, but I do know that they would be able to support all of those developers. I think it was for like a couple of years on the amount of money that they're giving him. It's a ridiculous slap in the face to those that worked at and worked for Microsoft. Like it to me, it's one of the scummiest things they could have done. It makes them look like fucking assholes, and it makes me want to support them even less. And I don't even know if I want to give them $10 to $20 to play any of their games at this point, because why would I give them money? I don't know. It's just bad. It doesn't look good if you ask me, and it's just not good. Anyways, moving on, and I guess we can keep up with the bad news. Ubisoft, they have shut down the developer for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown this last week. They not only denied a sequel because it didn't sell well enough, but they also shut the studio down. And that was not a good move, not only because the game scored super well. The Metacritic, hold on, let me look up that real quick. There it is. The Metacritic for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown sits at an 86 on PlayStation 5, an 87 on Xbox, and an 85 on PC. It's reviewed pretty darn well, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of people that have called it one of the better games of the year. Of course, it's more of an indie-level quality title and a side-scroller, and nothing major in the lines of like comparison to God of War or Assassin's Creed or whatever. But it's supposed to be a damn good game, and I'm kind of upset with myself for not supporting it, seeing now that the studio shut down and we're not going to get a sequel to what's supposed to be a fantastic game. But when I say bad news, it's not just bad news because they shut down the studio, but 700 different developers, 700 people within Ubisoft are actually striking because of this. Because, like me and Russ, and more particularly Russ, has said on frequent occasions, is that you can't make a bad game. You can't make a flop of a game, because if you do, you're going to be shut down. And in this case, their game flopped. Not even due to their own fault. They released this on Game Pass. Lo and behold, people on Game Pass don't buy their fucking games. They get them on Game Pass. But also, they didn't release it on Steam on launch day. They released it on Epic Games Store. They released it on the Ubisoft Store, of course, and consoles. So they left out PC's largest market, and the vast majority of people on PC won't go anywhere near Ubisoft's launcher. So that was an absolutely retarded decision on their part. So basically they're hurting the devs, and they're firing people or laying them off, whatever you want to call it, due to Ubisoft's failure, not the dev's own. And it's actually so bad that even Larian Studios, the guys behind Baldur's Gate 3, came out and kind of threw shade at them for this. They basically pointed out what I just did, as far as them not releasing it on Epic and so on and so forth. And basically they made all sorts of bad decisions. And it seems like Ubisoft keeps doing that left and right. I don't believe I've written this down, but I did write this down. In conjunction with them shutting down this studio, and previously we talked about them delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows, they've actually canceled the early access for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is a little strange to me. I don't know why they would take away a benefit of the collector's edition or the deluxe edition, whatever level that you get the early access on. It's like 2 or 3 days early you can play the game. It's kind of strange that they would take away that benefit, simply because some people want to play early, and like, there's a lot. I mean, this isn't a multiplayer game. It's not Call of Duty or anything of that sort. So playing it early doesn't really mean anything other than the fact that I get to play it a few days early. But it still doesn't look good, if you ask me. One good thing about it, though, or piece of news that's good for Assassin's Creed Shadows, the collector's edition, which was an eye-watering $280, has been dropped down to a still eye-watering $230. So it's $50 cheaper, yay, but still stupid pricing. And yeah, we'll see if that goes well. I think the stuff in the collector's edition looks cool, but I don't think it's cool enough to spend $230. That's kind of an insane ask. And there will be people that buy it, of course. I guess let's stick to the negative news. I've got some negative news in here, so I'm going to continue to talk about that stuff just to get it all out of the way, because then we can end on positive notes. The developers behind The Day Before, Russ and I had spoken about this a couple of times. You know, they announced their new game and basically saying, we're going to be transparent. And the game actually didn't look that bad. They should have not said that they were the developers behind The Day Before and just announced the game and let the game speak for itself. I get they're trying to be honest, open, and transparent, and, you know, sort of gain the favor back from from the fan base or from the gaming community, but that didn't work, and they canceled that Kickstarter. No surprise there. The real surprise is that they announced another game. They apparently, in their community, I guess they still have a community of people that follow them, they made a prop hunt game before this. It was some sort of ghost prop hunt game, and it actually performed fairly well. A decent enough game anyways. And more or less their community said, I think the developers actually asked if they made it a prop hunt game, would you want this? And a large portion of their community said, yeah, we would actually like a prop hunt game. And so that's what the new one is. They're making another prop hunt game. Good luck. I don't know if that's going to be funded, given it's on Kickstarter, and you know they've gotten all the bad press, deservedly so. So I don't really expect to see them. Excuse my yawning. I didn't sleep super great last night, and it's been kind of a long day. But anyways, I don't really particularly see it doing super well on the Kickstarter side of things. But who knows? Maybe. I think they just need to ditch. I don't think they need to lie, as far as, you know, not say they're the developers behind The Day Before, but they need to stop telling people they're the developers behind The Day Before, rebrand, and then just show games and let the games speak for themselves. Which, I mean, because the only thing saying that, hey, we're the guys behind The Days Before, the only thing it does for them is hurt them. But there's absolutely nothing positive about that. So if you ask me, it's stupid. And they obviously have a little bit of talent, not because of The Day Before, but because of the prop hunt game that they released in the past, and that one that looked kind of like Fall Guys, I think it was, and the one that's canceled or put on hold or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, moving on. Where's some of this negative news? I know I've got a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Guerrilla Games, the guys behind Killzone and Horizon, the Horizon series, which is confirmed to have sold 35 million copies across all of its different versions and games. So that's Horizon 1, 2, and the VR game, and all of those except for the VR one. So the main games are on PC as well. They've sold 35 million copies across those 3 games and those multiple platforms. So they're doing pretty well. So obviously Guerrilla is focused on Horizon. And they have come out recently and confirmed that they are done with Killzone as a franchise, which is really unfortunate. However, their wording doesn't necessarily say that the game has been sent to pasture, or the series has been sent to pasture, that they're done with it. You know, it's a dead franchise. They didn't say anything of that sort. They just said that them as a studio is done with it. And they didn't hint But maybe I'm just, hopeful here because I would really love a new Killzone. Killzone 3, especially on PlayStation 3, was such a phenomenal game. It had some of the better multiplayer for a first-person shooter of its time. It was like Call of Duty, but it had a lot of weight to it, and you actually felt like a soldier. And the maps were so well put together, and they were frenetic and just crazy, and they were fun as shit. And I would love to see another Killzone, even if it's not made by Guerrilla, because Sony owns a lot of different developers that could do it justice, and I hope so. But who knows? Sony made that stupid statement recently where they didn't cultivate enough games or some bullshit. They don't have the proper IPs to do stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Sony hopefully has enough cooking to where we'll be able to see stuff this next year, because this last year, while they had a shit ton of exclusives in 2024, the majority of them weren't from them, and I really hope to see what a lot of different developers are working on, from Guerrilla to Sony Santa Monica to Sony Bend, etc., and so on. There's plenty of stuff that could be released. Let's see. Continued negative news. Netflix, they had a studio called the Blue Team or something along those lines, and that Blue Team had a whole bunch of talent from across the industry to do something that was super ambitious as far as Netflix is concerned. Well, Netflix has shut them down, and we didn't know what they were working on other than what I basically just told you. And they've never released a game, so maybe what they were working on just wasn't working, and Netflix saw that or didn't want to fund it or whatever. But yeah, it's dead now. It's not a thing. Those guys don't work for Netflix anymore, and that's another studio shut down, unfortunately. There was one more bit of not so positive news. Where did I see it? Oh yeah, here we go. So the phenomenal, supposedly due to reviews and everyone on X, and everyone basically saying the metaphor ReFantaso is just a phenomenal JRPG from Atlas, which is basically a Persona clone, but unique enough from Persona to not be Persona. Anyways, it has become the fastest selling Atlas game ever, and it sold super freaking well. I can't remember how many copies they said they've sold, but either way, the game is doing really well. A lot of people are saying it's Game of the Year quality, which I personally don't see it, because you have to have mass appeal as well. And this game does not have that. This is definitely a niche style JRPG. It's not like Final Fantasy VII Remake or 16 or whatever. But anyways, the negative part of this, because I said this is negative news, the negative part of this is that it's selling as well as it has is no thanks to Xbox. And guess what? That's because of Game Pass. It is someone put up the numbers for the game on Amazon, which of course the majority, we know that the majority of Xbox sales are digital, but you can buy digital copies on Amazon as well. You don't have to buy just physical. So this is still relatively indicative of how well the game is selling on both platforms. On PlayStation 5, I think it's the top 10, like the 10th best-selling game on PlayStation since it released. And on Xbox, it barely cracked the top 900. It was like 891 or something like that. Yeah, basically Xbox players don't play JRPGs. We know that already. I don't know how many players there are due to Game Pass, but yeah, it's not exactly being super well received on Xbox. Let me see. Let me look up something here real quick. I still don't know why developers release their games on Game Pass day one, simply because there's been so many cases of developers saying that it cannibalizes sales and it doesn't help, and it's just not worth it. Sure, down the line, maybe a few months later, 6 months, a year, whatever, it can revitalize interest in the game, but sales are pretty much across the board hurt. Even Microsoft said this during the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. But, hang on a second here. This was as of September. I believe Metaphor is coming to game or came to Game Pass, but right now, I'm you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I saw a conversation on X that it was coming to Game Pass. And I think I'm just wrong. Hang on a second. Let me confirm this. I can do it in just a half second, but I'm not logged in. Fudge. I can do it over here. Here it is. Yep. See, the answer I've gotten from here. So I asked X's AI Grok. It said it is not on Game Pass, so I was wrong. But in its answer, it actually says, however, there has been some discussion and speculation among users on X and other social media platforms about its availability. Some have suggested or believe that it is on Game Pass. So I read somebody's comment and I was wrong. I just should have verified. So it's not selling well on Xbox just because Xbox players don't play JRPGs, it seems like. It has nothing to do with Game Pass. So that makes it even worse news, honestly. And it makes me wonder if Atlas will continue to release day and date on Xbox platforms, simply because I don't know if it's worth it. If it can barely crack the top 900, that means it's selling like dookie. Sorry for the term, but it like, so Square Enix came out and said that they're going to aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy, meaning Final Fantasy VII, or not meaning, but because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16 and various other games apparently didn't sell as well as they wanted them to, or as that they thought they were going to, and therefore they're going to start releasing just about everything multi-platform day one. There's going to be no more console exclusives, at least not timed, I assume. And it makes me wonder that a game like Metaphor, which is reviewing super well, and again, according to their own statistics, it's the fastest selling Atlas game ever, more so than any Persona game and any other games they make. That hell, that's even more than, actually, no, that's Bandai. Never mind, Atlas is different from Bandai. If it's not selling on a particular platform, or at least not selling well enough, is it worth splitting development costs in the beginning between two platforms when one of them won't sell super well? I can see making it exclusive for a time to the platform that it's going to sell most on, only for the fact so they can put more resources into the development of the game, make it a better game, release it there, let it sell as well as they want it to, and then release it on the platform that'll only get a moderate number of sales after they've made their money back, so they can then make a little bit more, because porting is way easier than developing from the outset. So I don't know. We'll see. And obviously we'll see if this particular trend continues with other games. Will Square Enix and Ubisoft and all the other games, will they continue to sell significantly better on PlayStation than they do on Xbox? Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's an interesting thought, and one I haven't really looked into too much. I don't think I have any particular bad news anymore. We got some in between and some good news. Oh, you know what? I do have one more piece of bad news. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, for some reason, second game in a row, is skipping a platinum trophy on the PlayStation 5. What makes it even more strange is that, if I'm not mistaken, the PlayStation 4 version has a platinum trophy, but not PlayStation 5. I know with the Modern Warfare 3, it was released on the PlayStation ecosystem effectively as DLC for Modern Warfare 2. And so because it was DLC, it can't have its own platinum rather than, its own separate game. So maybe somehow this is the case. I haven't looked into it enough other than to know that it doesn't have a platinum, and there's some PlayStation fans that are not happy. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if I cared about the franchise, because that's stupid. Why would you do that? It just seems really, 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 really lazy. All you have to do is make, like, every game you have to have trophies. You have to have trophies anyway. So why release it as DLC to not be able to have a platinum when coding a platinum in having its own, separate list of trophies from the other games. Like, there's no way that's a difficult thing to do. Period. There's no way. I refuse to believe it, and no one will ever convince me that it's difficult in any way, shape, or form. And so to do that, to sort of, give PlayStation fans who care about trophies a bit of a middle finger is a little strange to me. But, whatever. Again, I don't care about the franchise, but it still seems stupid. I don't know if I want to talk about not Archage, but Throne and Liberty. Right here. I was hoping to talk with Russ about it. But you know what? Maybe I'll save it for the next time Russ is around, because I wanted to sort of, contrast his thoughts on Throne and Liberty, because I was able to play it over the past couple of days, and my thoughts are different. Not, massively different in the sense of, like, I'm not in love with the game and I don't think it's the best game ever, but I played it longer than him and got at least twice as far as him, at least I would assume, based on the level he made it to. In any case, anyways, I think maybe we'll talk about it next time. That way we don't have it 3 times in a row. I'll probably continue to play it to be able to contrast some of the things he said with experience of how the game progresses. So anyways, moving on. No Man's Sky got a decent sized update. It is, the way I can look at it is effectively a Halloween update, and they're adding new stuff to the game. Of course, they're adding. Hold on a second. They're calling it The Cursed, and they are adding a new expedition. Let me find the list real quick. I've got it in front of me. It has. Of course, the PlayStation blog doesn't have it on any sort of bullet points, and I don't want to read all of it to you guys. But basically, it got a Halloween, effectively a Halloween update. Darn it! I really want to tell you at least some of the basic stuff in it. I know there's new gear, of course. There's new planets, and there's a new expedition, and there's new different things you can do. The universe is apparently sort of a Twilight universe. Anyways. No Man's Sky continues to get updated, continues to be free, continues to be awesome, totally worth your money. Go buy it if you haven't yet, if you like space stuff. Anyways, moving on, there is a potential leak. This is a leak, and I don't know if it's true, I guess is the better way to put it, that Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually getting a native PlayStation 5 version. And that's native PlayStation 5, not Xbox, which is unexpected. Let me look this up real quick. It says it's a LinkedIn profile. That's what it is. So a LinkedIn profile for someone who works at Rockstar actually said in his LinkedIn profile that the game is getting a native PS5 version, and it doesn't mention whatsoever Xbox. It simply says Red Dead Redemption 2 PS5, and that would be interesting. So we'll see, simply because the fact that it doesn't have a native PS5 version at this point is a little strange. The game's already gorgeous and all that, but maybe they're doing it. I don't know. Red Dead Redemption 1 finally released and on PC, and it released on PS4 last year, and maybe they're finally just working on it, or maybe it's a side project for someone and it's finally ready. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what sort of upgrades it gets and how much better it looks, and if it gets PS5 Pro support or not. So I mentioned this at the top of the episode. I was thinking it was a Switch update of some sort, but it's actually a game. It's a mysterious Switch playtest, which apparently is a game that's sort of like Minecraft meets an MMO, and players are going to, quote, develop planets together. It's an interesting thought, and I'm wondering if this is that bit of news we read a few weeks ago where Miyamoto says that Nintendo is making something they're, quote, not supposed to make, and it's totally different than, anything they've ever made before. Obviously, we speculated wildly about a mature rated Luigi's Mansion or Mario game and all sorts of other ridiculous things. What do we call it? We call it Tits Knife, Zelda Tits Knife. But this is more than likely going to be what it is that they're, we're not supposed to make this a game. Whatever exactly that it is, we don't know, other than it sounds like it might be an MMO / Minecraft. I'm wondering if it's going to be a cross. I mean, they're going to have a whole bunch of Nintendo characters in it, but it says here, the post that was originally made that, quote, leaks this, says that the goal in Nintendo's unnamed project is to apparently fully develop a massive, expansive planet by utilizing creativity and farmed resources. As players progress, they will discover new lands, enemies, and resources that will become essential. While the crafting, gathering, and survival-y aspects of it all really remind me of Mojang's own game, Minecraft, it also seems pretty unique with its heavier focus on more social features. So this is probably that game that Nintendo's not supposed to be making. It's a decidedly un-Nintendo-like game. So it'll be interesting to see what Nintendo's take on survival / building games is, because they've never really moved in this area before. I think the recent Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is probably the closest they've gotten to a building, quote, type game, simply because you can put things down and affect the world that way. I mean, sure, I guess you can include the Super Mario Maker games, but those are making Mario games. Those are very, very, very targeted. I wouldn't call those Minecraft or survival or anything of that sort. So it'll be interesting to see what becomes of this, and also what kind of look that it has, aesthetic. Is it going to be unique, or is it going to be in a Nintendo universe where you have Nintendo characters? I guess we'll see. The very last thing that the article that I'm reading says about it, it says that if it's true, it seems like it might be an RPG-esque, or it might have an RPG-esque flair to it. So you might be able to level up, and you might be able to make yourself stronger. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see what becomes of that, and hopefully we'll see something at the Game Awards later this year, about 2 months from now, a little less than 2 months from now, maybe a little more from 2 months. I can't remember if it's before or after Christmas. I want to say it's after, but I might be wrong. Okay, so this one's a bit of, in my opinion, I guess this isn't negative news, but to me it seems stupid. Maybe it's just because public sentiment isn't really high up there, but anyways, Sony and Bungie are finally integrating, and they're bringing people on from Bungie to work directly for Sony. And we knew it was going to happen after, the failures of Bungie and Destiny 2 over the past several years since they bought them. And they're integrating themselves within Sony finally. But also Sony is sort of carving out a role or a team or where basically Bungie can be overseers of PlayStation's live service push, which we know they've scaled back pretty significantly. But the thing is Bungie helped. I mean, they didn't make decisions, but from what I understand, they didn't actually go in there and say, "Hey, don't make this game, change it that way, cancel this, push this one forward." I don't think they were able to do that. They weren't in a position to basically make the decisions, but they were in a position to basically highly influence what Sony did. And my understanding, based on a lot of what I've read, is that because of them, the Last of Us 2 multiplayer mode was canceled. Because of them, the Spider-Man multiplayer game was canceled, and we actually have footage of the Spider-Man game, and that game looked fucking fun as shit. The fact that the PlayStation would cancel it makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. I baffled as to why they would cancel it, because it looked super great. The Last of Us, we never got any footage of it, but it was canceled. And that sucks, because a lot of people were looking forward to it, because that mode was awesome in the first game. We know that they helped push Concord forward, and we know how absolutely awful that was, or at least how terribly it sold in any case. I still see a lot of sentiment about people who played it, saying that it was actually a very well-balanced and fun game, but I never played it, couldn't say. But for them to now be effectively the overseers, which in this case gives them the authority to make decisions on what Sony does, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if that's a good idea. But maybe it will be. I don't know. It's one of those things that seems not smart. It's one of those like, it's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. And I'm already over here like, it's going to be ugly. Just because of their history. I don't know. One of our patrons commented, he says, I know of an indie game that just funded through Kickstarter, committed to doing Steam first, then afterwards they will get it on GOG and then get it working and official on Steam Deck, so it's wise to focus. Yeah, and so effectively he's backing up what I said as far as, take your game and release it on a platform it's going to sell pretty well on, and then after that worry about porting it to other locations where you can get additional resources or sales to help boost future games or future content or something along those lines. And I was talking about Ubisoft, and when it came to that, or actually Atlas with Metaphor and Square Enix and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's how I view it. It seems to be the smart choice, but maybe I'm just blowing up my own head over here saying I'm smart. So I don't know. But speaking of Sony games, Spider-Man 2 was finally officially confirmed for PC. It is coming January 30th, so a little over 3 months from now. Yeah, a little over 3 months from now. I don't know of any of the bonuses, but I'm sure you can expect better frame rate and better resolution and faster loading and all the fun stuff that comes with it. The super ultra wide mode and et cetera and so on. I would also presume any DLC that's released for the game will also release for it. So that's good. If you like Spider-Man and you haven't played it yet, or if you played the first one, Spider-Man 2 was pretty great. Said Patreon responds, in regards to what you said a little bit ago, focus based on what... Yeah, okay, yeah. I've got a couple of things left for you here. David Hayter, he is the voice most well known for Snake from Metal Gear. We were told that in Metal Gear Solid Delta, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, that it was basically going to be a prettier version of MGS3. It's not going to have any new lines. They're not going to record anything new for it. It's not going to change any of the storyline. The game is basically going to be exactly the same. It's just going to be prettier. Well, David Hayter came out and said that he's actually recording new dialogue for MGS Delta. And he said that he can't really talk about it yet. So I'm thinking maybe DLC? There's plenty of time in between MGS3 and MGS1. And they could easily, find a new story in there somewhere that would take place after it. And, interject it in between it and... I can't remember if this one... I believe this one is in between Peace Walker, which was the PSP Metal Gear, which was pretty great, by the way. But I'm pretty sure this one takes place before Peace Walker. I'm pretty certain. I might have that wrong. But in any case, he's recording new dialogue, and they've... I don't know if they were lying to us to begin with, and they changed, and they've always been doing this, or they changed their mind and saw that the fan reaction to MGS3 Delta was super high, and they're like, you know what, let's bring David Hayter back and let's make some new stuff for it, because the game, they are expecting it to sell well. Who knows? Maybe they were just trying to hide this, and David Hayter, let it loose on accident. Either way, I'm excited because MGS3 is one of the ones I've never played. I never got around to playing it when it was new, and I could never force myself to play it. I think we talked about that on previous episodes. So we'll see what comes of that. Interestingly, PlayStation 2's The Thing, which is, based on that horror movie. I don't know much about it because I never played the game. I never watched the movie. But I know it takes place somewhere cold in, like, Antarctica or something like that. And some mutant thing kills people. I saw sentiment on the announcement that the original game was actually pretty good, and if you watch the remaster, it's getting a remaster for modern platforms. It seems to be in the vein of Beyond Good and Evil and the Legacy of Kain remasters, where it's still the PlayStation 2 game. It's just getting a facelift. It's not getting a facelift in the vein of modern graphics, but it's getting better textures and things of that sort to make it look slightly better. So that's cool, right? Speaking of remasters, as unnecessary as Horizon Zero Dawn's PlayStation 5 remaster seems and feels like, it's a huge upgrade. Go watch the Digital Foundry. Got to get them in there. Go watch the Digital Foundry remastered video. It's a huge upgrade. It's actually really surprising just how big of an upgrade Horizon Zero Dawn for PS5 is. They've upgraded pretty much everything from basically it's Horizon Forbidden West quality now. It's no longer a relatively mid-generation PS4 game. It's now a fully blown PS5 game. Like, everything's been touched. Lighting, hair, character models, all of it. It all looks pretty freaking great. And if you own the game on PS4 already and have a PS5, you can actually upgrade for only $10, and I will 100% be doing that because it was such a phenomenal game. And $10 for a massive upgrade like this, yeah, why not? So my last bit of news, my last bit is, this is unconfirmed from what I was able to tell, but I think it's Jez Gordon. It might not have been Jez. It was another big person that basically we should be able to listen to about their leaks. He should be right in this. But rumor has it that the review embargo for Dragon Age Veilguard is actually a few days before the game launches, which I'm looking at this in two different ways. Or it could be one of two reasons. Usually, a review embargo being before the game launches is a good thing. The developers are confident that what they have is good, and they're not worried about reviews coming out before the game launches because they don't expect bad reviews to hurt game sales. I think either it's that, which is hopefully that's the case, or if you look at the history of games that have the fan backlash or fan sentiment that Dragon Age Veilguard has, which is not very good. People aren't super happy with a lot of the things they've done, not just from DEI, but to how they've, disparaged the previous games and so on and so forth. The fan reaction or fan sentiment around this game isn't super high. And so if you look at a lot of the games that look like this, as far as aesthetically goes, the developers generally don't seem to be in sync with their fan base. They're not. They don't understand that what they're making isn't what people want. And I don't know if that fits with Dragon Age. I mean, you've listened to us talk about it enough. Both of us are kind of in that, like, they're saying the right things and it looks fun, but I just don't know. There's something about it I don't like, and that's kind of where we're still at. We've never quite made our decision. Although I think Russ actually said something on this last episode about it. Anyways, I think it's either they're confident about the game or they're just totally out of sync, and it's not going to do well as far as the reviews go. I personally think that it's probably going to sit at a low 80s. It's probably going to sit between 80 and 83 overall. And it's Dragon Age. It's highly likely to sell. It might sell less than the previous one simply because of the way it looks, and there's a pretty big movement against the way games like this look. And a lot of the things they've said, and the whole DEI detected website that came out. I don't know if I've actually spoken about that one, but yeah, there's a website called DEI Detected where it's they talk about Sweet Baby Inc., which are the guys that are infusing DEI into a whole bunch of games all over the place. Anyways, we'll see. Dragon Age Veilguard is still one of the ones that I'm like, entirely on the fence. I think I'm leaning towards the not right now, but the game looks fun. It really does. And I don't know, maybe I will end up getting it and playing it at some point. Like I said, I could talk about Throne and Liberty, but I think I should wait a little bit. Ultimately, I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's generic, but that is just about all I've got for you. There won't be a Patreon side of this because I waited way too long to start recording this, and I was really hoping Russ would pop up, and I made a mistake, and therefore I won't be able to do a Patreon side of things. So you know what, actually, because of that, let's go ahead and go to thereleases.com, and we'll do this on the free side this week. Normally, if you are a Patreon subscriber, there is a benefit to Patreon where we go over the games that are coming out this next week, and we give our opinions on them and talk about them just a little bit, kind of give you an idea of what's coming out, so you can kind of take a look at it. And we try to focus on really everything that's releasing. We don't talk about everything, but we don't just go, oh, Call of Duty is releasing this year, the new Sonic X Shadows is coming out. We try to find some of the indies that look really cool too, and we talk about them. So I'm going to go over just a few of those. It looks like there is a shit ton of games releasing this next week. So I'm going to have to sift through these with you. I originally didn't plan to do it, but and unfortunately this website is terrible. It used to be great as far as release date order, but it doesn't do that anymore, which is stupid. So I think they may have implemented a means to make this in order. What? Okay, I think they did. So let me go ahead and scoot to the right dates. Normally, what we do... How the hell did I get into November? I didn't even see it. I'm so confused. There's no way I skipped through. I did. I guess I somehow skipped through October. Okay. We normally talk about the games that are releasing from Wednesday to Wednesday. So the 30th, in this case, the 30th through the 6th, because you guys don't get access to this until the 30th. That's still a bit different this time around, but in any case, I'm going to go ahead and choose those dates. The 25th, 26th. All right, it's kind of interesting. I found out how to make them in order. I don't know if that's always been there and I've just been stupid, or if they added it, because they've been updating the website, quite a bit over the past few months. All right, so let's see. What do we got here? We got Don't Scream is releasing on PC, it's a horror game that if you make any sort of noise, you're dead and you got to start over. It releases on PC on the 28th. Yeah, 28th. Does not appear to be having a console release, at least not yet. They haven't announced one for consoles either. But yeah, it looks like almost like Salem Witch Trials as far as the way the game footage looks. But the way they describe it says if you scream, you restart. So don't scream. It's an Unreal Engine 5 short horror experience inspired by 90s camcorder found footage. The challenge is simple. Explore the mysterious Pine View forest for 18 minutes without screaming. Sounds easy, right? But there's a catch. Time only progresses as you move, and you cannot predict the scares. You must calibrate your microphone in-game so that every whimper, jump, or even a minor squeak is registered as a scream, increasing the challenge. With dozens of dynamic scares, each playthrough offers a unique experience. It's a perfect game to scare the pants off your friends and family. Our lead playtester, also my wife, is currently in a clinic recovering. That's kind of funny. Yeah. Looks like the patron that's been talking agrees with me about giving the free stuff, or the Patreon side, away for free. So, again, I didn't look at these games, so I'm going to have to kind of look at them and then talk about them as I find them. But there's quite a bit, so I'm trying not to pick just everything. Apparently, The Division 2 is still getting content. That's actually rather impressive, given how old it is. There's only a video on this one. I was hoping to see some footage, some pictures. That's what I'm looking for. There's another horror game where the female character looks, well, oh wow, okay, that would terrify the shit out of me. So there's another horror game. Obviously, it's close to Halloween, but it looks almost like a Silent Hill style of game, but it's called Forgotten Memories. Apparently, it's remastered. I don't know when it originally released. I don't know how that's even possible, given this website tells you when games are released. It doesn't matter if it was 15 years ago on one platform and tomorrow on, PC or whatever. This game apparently is releasing, interestingly enough, on iPhone, Android, and Switch. But the description of the game says, in Forgotten Memories, you take on the role of Rose Hawkins, a determined police detective who finds herself caught in a web of enigmatic events while investigating a strange case. As Rose wakes up in an eerie, unfamiliar place, she encounters Noah, a mysterious and striking woman who offers her a deal. This precarious alliance promises to aid Rose in her investigation, but at what cost? It really doesn't tell you anything, but what I was telling you, or what I mentioned, sounds terrifying, is the main character was walking around, and then out of nowhere, freaking little Chucky doll not Chucky, but those dolls, those porcelain dolls that old people used to have for some reason. They got real popular. Well, they start running around with knives, and mannequins start walking at you, and it looks like it actually would be a rather creepy game. The fact that it's a mobile and console game, I don't know how much I like that, but I really can't speak too much about that specific thing because I like Genshin Impact and stuff, and those games are mobile and console. So anyways, Forgotten Memories releases on the 28th for cell phones and Switch. Let's see, what else do we got here? Apparently Life is Strange is getting something on the 29th. I'm assuming DLC. It says Max, she's a photographer in residence at the prestigious Chaldean University, discovers her closest new friend, Safi, dead in the snow, murdered to save her. Yeah, so it's DLC for Life is Strange, the more recent one. I did not play it. I did not care. The first one was good. Didn't care about any of the future ones. But yeah, it's getting DLC for all the things, basically, on the 29th. Red Dead Redemption's PC version releases on the 29th as well. World of Goo 2, which was that super unexpected sequel. Oh crap. Why did you do that to me? Why would you do that? That's dumb. I clicked on the tab at the top. I have multiple tabs open, but I clicked on the tab at the top, and for some reason it went all the way back to August. So let me scroll back down, because that was why would you even have that as a thing? I've never seen anything like that. Yeah, scroll all the way to the top when you touch the tab. Scrolling. There it is. Okay. Yeah, World of Goo 2. That's where I was leaving off. Apparently, Phasmophobia is also releasing on the 29th. It's releasing on consoles, rather. PS5, Xbox Series X, and PSVR 2. From what I understand, Phasmophobia is actually a pretty damn good game. It's supposed to be kind of like not Among Us. It's a game that I bought to play with some friends. See if I can minimize all my tabs and find it real quick. What the heck was it called? All my tabs are in the way. Where is it? Lethal Company. That's the word the game I was looking for. A game called Lethal Company. Basically, you have to land on whatever planet and do your best to get resources. This one, if I'm not mistaken, Phasmophobia also. It's a 4-player co-op game, but I think it's a 4v1. I think it's what it is, although it doesn't identify itself as such. I've never played it, but some people at church said that they really enjoyed it. It says it's a 4-player psychological horror. Paranormal activity is on the rise, and it's up to you and your team to use all the ghost hunting equipment at your disposal in order to gather as much evidence as you can. So yeah, I think that's where the Lethal Company comes into play. I can't remember if it's a 4v1 or not. It doesn't specify that it is. But yeah, it's coming out to all the things that aren't PC because it's already on PC. So, well, I guess not all the things. It's not coming to Switch. Sorry. They always get left out. Let's see. Neptunia is getting another game. Most people have no idea what that is. I don't know why I mentioned it. Probably because I recognized it. If I'm not mistaken, they're actually like console war JRPGs that started on PlayStation 3, and they've made a ridiculous amount of Neptunia games. But this one, I guess, is a game maker, so sort of like RPG Maker. At least that's my assumption based on its title. But moving on from that, Overwatch 2 is getting a season 13 already. I don't know how those seasons work. I don't really care. Never cared for Overwatch. Let's see what else we got. Pokemon trading card game is getting a pocket version. I mentioned the Horizon Zero Dawn remastered that's coming out on the 31st for PS5. I'm sure it'll come out on PC soon enough. After, I wonder if the PC version. Yeah, the PC version is not mentioned at all. So, I guess that's going to come to PC a little bit later. Let's see what else we got. We got Humans Fall Flat is getting a VR mode for... Is it everything or is it just PC VR? Yep, it's for everything. For PC VR and PSVR 2. Never played Humans Fall Flat, but I've been told it's very fun. Dragon Age Veilguard comes out on the 31st. Is it really a 31st? That's a strange date. Would not have expected that game to release on Halloween. But so be it. Triangle Strategy. Really? Triangle Strategy is getting a VR mode? What? It's coming to the Quest. The Meta Quest. I would have... That's a weird game to come to the Quest. There's like... If you know, Triangle Strategy is like Octopath Traveler. It's from the same developers, but it's a tactics game. So not a typical turn-based RPG. It has the same look graphically, the 2D, 3D stuff. But to come to a VR platform or headset, that's weird. It's coming to that on the 31st. Shadows of the Damned, Hello Remastered as they're calling it, is releasing on... I want to say all the things. Is it coming to Switch? No, it is coming out to the Switch. Good for it. It's got to get a little clap for that one. Shadows of the Damned was a PlayStation 3 game by Suda51, the guy that makes ridiculous games, and I freaking loved it. It was one of those ones that I'm like, this just looks stupid, and I want, like, not stupid like bad, but stupid like ridiculous and fun. And it's a third-person shooter where you go, if I'm not mistaken, let me just read it. It says, embark on a tumultuous journey filled with intense emotions, a love-hate odyssey that takes the fiery Garcia Hotspur and his skeletal companion Johnson through the infernal realms of the underworld. I was going to say, I think it takes place in hell. So, yes, it does. Their mission, to rescue Garcia's abducted beloved Paula from Fleming, the formidable lord of the underworld. Unleash the spirit of rock and roll in this twisted demonic landscape where the fervor of a hellish road trip meets the heart of darkness. It's just a ridiculous game. I'm not exactly sure what to compare it to. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's Suda51. Of course, it's not serious. But I just remember his companion Johnson, his skeletal companion, has a lot of quips and funny things to say. There's at one point he makes a joke about Victoria's Secret, but he calls it Chicktoria's Secret because they don't want to have a lawsuit on their hands. And just the gameplay was fun. The fact that it's being remastered for modern platforms is pretty sweet. It did get a short limited run on limited run games, but unfortunately I missed it because I think it was only $30 too. I really, really wish I hadn't missed it, but oh well. If you've not played Shadows of the Damned, that's one that I would definitely recommend. Wait a minute. I'm looking at Horizon Zero Dawn. I mentioned that it wasn't coming to PC. It's literally got two different tabs on this website because Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered is brought up for PC. So scratch what I said earlier. It is also releasing on PC, which makes sense. The game's already on PC. Why would you hold back the updated version? yeah. So scratch the original part. It is. There is a game, a VR game that released a while back called Wanderer, and it was supposed to be like a time traveling one where basically you experience some of the major events of history, and you can travel, between various aspects. You could be a rock star in the 70s. You can get to go to the moon on Apollo 13. There you go. And I think you get to experience the war in various other places. You go back to like Mayan times. Anyways, it's getting a proper. It's not just a remake. I think it's actually like, or it's not just a remaster. It's a proper remake. It's still the same game, but they're upgrading a lot about it. I guess it's closer to the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. It is a remaster effectively, but they're also changing and adding a lot to it to make it better. And it's been on my wish list for a while on PlayStation because I have the PSVR 2 now. So why not? That game also releases on the 31st. 31st is a really stacked day. There's tons of stuff coming out that day. I don't know how any of them are going to manage to get sales. Euro Truck Simulator. That's releasing. Euro Truck Simulator 2. Pinktober. I can't believe that's a title. Oh, geez. Clock Tower Rewind. This looks like what the hell? Clock Tower is an old game that I swear Clock Tower was like PlayStation 2 era, but this looks like Super Nintendo side scroller. I guess I'm just going to stop there. It's called Clock Tower Rewind. Turn back the clock for one of the pioneers of the survival horror genre, translated and released outside of Japan for the first time. Clock Tower Rewind is a revival of the terror-inducing 16-bit classic. Okay, so I guess it originally released on Super Nintendo. And they're re-releasing it on modern platforms. Interesting. But survival horror. Huh. Cool stuff. I'm still on the 31st. Good lord, it doesn't end. Blasphemous 2 is getting some DLC. Stalker, Legends of the Zone trilogy, which we talked about a while back. It's coming out for the Switch. Oh my lord. Is that serious? That's serious. Oh, it's a different game. Okay, so me and Russ have talked about the Starship Troopers game that kind of looks a lot like Helldivers. Apparently, they made a VR Starship Troopers, and it released on Quest on the 17th, so almost 10 days ago, and it releases on the PSVR 2 also. Well, not the 17th, but this month. It releases on the 31st, also on the 31st. I don't know if it's any good, but now I'm interested, because one, I like Starship Troopers, and Helldivers is fun. Let's see. Guilty Gear is getting a new character. Guilty Gear Strive is getting a new character. Vampire Survivors is getting its crossover with Castlevania. Well, let's see what else we got. Broken Sword is getting some sort of update. I'm going through this way faster than we normally do, by the way, for the free side. Normally, me and Russ kind of go back and forth, and we talk about a couple of games. But I felt like making it a little bit longer, especially since we're not going to be having to host much. Let's see. Dave the Diver is getting its host of crossovers. Assassin's Creed Mirage is releasing on PC, not on PC, on Steam, I'm sorry. Yes, they skipped Steam because, like I mentioned earlier, with not Assassin's Creed, but Ubisoft, Prince of Persia, they're stupid, and they, for some reason, skipped Steam. Skull and Bones is getting additional season content. I can't believe that game's getting support still. Now I'm curious of how many people still play that game. Let's see. This one, if I'm remembering it correctly, I think this is that really funky Nintendo game. Yeah, this is that funky Nintendo game or not Nintendo game, because apparently it's coming to PlayStation 5 as well. But it was announced at a Nintendo like event of some sort. I can't remember, like not a state of play. It's PlayStation, the Nintendo Treehouse or whatever they call their thing. I can't remember at the moment. But basically, it's called Farmagia. It's that funky anime looking style game that like looks like a mixture of Pokemon and Animal Crossing. Yeah, it releases on. It says it releases on the 1st, November 1st. I'm supposed to be going through the 6th, right? I feel like I've spent so much time on the days. I've spent so much time on the 30th and the 31st. It's crazy how many games have released those 2 days, or how many will release those 2 days. Let's see. Is this Destiny or is this a different game? There's a game called Destiny Rising. Is that Destiny? Nope, it's a new game. What a name. That's a way to confuse a lot of people. Destiny Rising is a epic free-to-play mobile science fiction RPG shooter featuring a variety of playable hero characters. See, when I clicked on it, I actually still wasn't sure if it was Destiny or not, because it's being made by NetEase Games, but like literally, like this straight up look, this has to be Destiny. This is Destiny. I didn't realize they were making a cell phone game. What? I had no clue whatsoever. Okay, so this is Destiny. Now I'm curious. It says, featuring a variety of playable hero characters, a shared world, and an abundance of game modes, all set within the rich tapestry of Destiny. Developed by NetEase and officially licensed by Bungie, creators of the Destiny franchise. This video is confusing. It's hard to tell if it's first or third person. Delivers a brand new adventure set in an alternate Destiny timeline, featuring a narrative in the post-Dark Age era, featuring a diverse roster of characters, each with unique abilities and stories. Destiny Rising offers players dynamic and challenging single, cooperative, and competitive multiplayer gameplay, including beloved game modes featuring familiar Destiny players in all new modes that introduce new ways to play Destiny. So basically, it's just Destiny on mobile. It'll be available on iOS and Android. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if this eventually gets console launches, because why wouldn't it? It's free to play. It seems stupid to limit yourself to mobile, but it looks like it's primarily first person, but this is one of those trailers that isn't indicative of gameplay 99.9% of the time. So yeah, I had no idea this was a thing. Like, somehow this flew under my radar entirely. But Destiny is getting a mobile mode. Okay, so this is the closed alpha test. So it's not releasing on the 1st. This is an alpha test. So I don't know how you would apply for this. Probably on the NetEase website, or just Google Destiny Rising closed alpha test and, fill out whatever form you need to in order to hopefully get into it. But anyways, moving on from Destiny getting a mobile game, let's see. Obviously, there's plenty of Halloween updates for various games, the First Descendant, etc. Throne and Liberty has one going on right now. Metal Slug Tactics is releasing on the 5th. Hey, I'm close to the date that I need to stop at. This next one, I believe I spoke about when it was announced. Nope, sure didn't. It's not one that I'm really interested in. It's another tactics game. This one has a gritty medieval look to it. It's called Lost Eidolon's Veil of the Witch. It's an all-new turn-based strategy RPG, stranded, and it's being made by... Who's it being made by? It's being made by Ocean Drive Studios. If you like grid-based strategy, single-player indie games, this one might be worth looking into. I don't particularly like them, but the art gathered my attention, and tactics games art always gathers my attention, and then I get disappointed when I find out what it is. That's releasing on the 5th, by the way. This next game is called... Let's see if I can... I don't even know if I can pronounce this. Papetura? You look like a scroll? Like literally a piece of paper scroll? It's one of those really unique art styles. It says, the horror publisher Feardemic is bringing out something new this time. Instead of a terrifying fright ride, what they're serving us is an atmospheric adventure game set in a world made entirely out of paper and handcrafted almost fully by a single person over 6 years. So it's a game that's literally taking place in handcrafted with actual paper props. And obviously it's going to, superimpose graphics and stuff on it, but the cool thing is the whole game takes place in this handcrafted world that this person actually handcrafted on a paper. So that's actually really cool. But anyways, it says, while Papatura is not a horror in the traditional sense, it doesn't mean that it's all fun and games. After all, what's a predicament scarier than living in a paper world that's at real risk of burning down? And that's exactly the situation our main character, Tape and Tura, find themselves in at the start of the game. It's a really unique looking game. I'm glad I clicked on this. It's coming, in this case, it's coming to everything. Yay, Switch is being left out. Including last gen platforms, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But it's one of those really super unique art styles. But again, it's not just an art style. It's literally paper crafts, real world paper crafts, mixed with some CGI and stuff thrown on top of it for gameplay elements. But it looks really interesting, and having to worry about being burnt down is a unique, I don't know, mechanic, I guess. All right, the 6th is the last day, and I am on the 6th, so this is almost over. It looks like they're all small indie titles that are on the 6th. There's a game called Mirthwood that I clicked on and I'm not interested in. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, which I believe launched on consoles already. No, it did not. It's launching, interestingly enough. Okay, so it launched on Switch July 17th of this year. It's launching on PC on the 16th, and Xbox and PlayStation are getting it sometime in the future. This one is another beat 'em up style game. It looks like more of a bird's eye Diablo style, and I would presume it is 4 players. It doesn't say, interestingly enough. Not on the... Okay, it is co-op, so yeah, it's going to be 4 players. Of course it is. But yeah, it looks again like a Diablo style Ninja Turtles game. It looks quite fun. It's got the appropriate art style that I like, which is from the 90s cartoons. I don't really think much else needs to be said about that other than it comes out on the 6th, and well, at least the 6th on PC. If you want to play it now, you got the Switch. If you want to wait for PC, November 6th. And if you want it on the other platforms, you got to keep on waiting because we don't know yet when it's releasing. There's another game called Brighter Shores that the video doesn't work. This looks like another tactics game. Maybe? There's a lot of squares in it, so I was thinking tactics. It's hard to tell. It's a brand new adventure crafted by award-winning MMO designer Andrew Gower. Well, now I want to know what he's made. This is apparently an MMO. Venture into a realm filled with magic and enigmas, offering a vast array of professionals to explore the way this is written is weird. Offering to explore and surprise at every turn. With an evolving narrative and hundreds of hours of gameplay, Brighter Shores promises an immersive experience. Starting as the latest addition to the Hopeport Town Guard, you aim to carve out a reputation for yourself. So it's an MMO that looks like it belongs in the PlayStation 2 era-esque. It also has a sort of a Minecraft feel to it, as far as the squares and stuff go, but not quite. It almost looks like it actually really, really looks like a D&D board, like a panorama that you would build to play D&D on and put your little figures in. It looks a lot like something like that, graphically and aesthetically. I guess it's an MMO though, interestingly enough. A point-and-click adventure MMO. But the developer, apparently this guy's a world-renowned MMO developer, but if you look at his list of games, there's nothing on it. According to releases.com. Now I want to know what Andrew Gower's made. I have to know. What other games have you made, sir? Andrew Gower, what have you made? According to his Wikipedia page, he's best known for his recurring role as Cutler in Being Human. Apparently, there's no way. MMO. I got a hit. Oh, yeah, see, that's not the right Andrew Gower. Okay. You know what? Actually, Russ and I spoke about this one. We spoke about Brighter Shores when it was announced a few months back. I don't remember exactly when, but basically, he's the creator of RuneScape, and he was making a new MMO, and this is that new MMO. I didn't realize it was releasing so soon. At least I forgot, in any case. But if you liked RuneScape in any way, shape, or form as a kid, Brighter Shores is somewhat of a, not a sequel, but similar style of game, especially graphically. And I know he was promising some stuff, some hefty stuff with it. Russ is missing out because he loved to say trash for the trash gods for the day before. He was enjoying himself with that. And there's a new game called Trash Goblin coming out that I imagine he'd probably be having fun with. Anyways, I've got two more left. I've got Run from Mummies and Monarchy. Let's see what they are. Run from Mummies looks like a Super Nintendo game. It's releasing on PS5 and PC. It says, pile in the tour van for an expedition to a forgotten pyramid long lost to time. I don't know how that's possible, but anyways, take pictures and unearth ancient relics, all while exploring decrepit tombs, arid wastelands, and opulent temples. It looks like a... How would I describe this game? It's an adventure, indie, top-down action game, I guess is the best way to describe it. It looks like it belongs on the Super Nintendo-esque, maybe a little bit more early PlayStation 1 style game, but early PlayStation 1 where they're still designing it in the Super Nintendo vein, just with better graphics. And then the last one, Monarchy, is releasing on all the things, also November 6th. It's a 2D side-scrolling strategy game that challenges you to build a base. So basically like, actually, I wonder if this is the same developer, because it looks almost exactly the same, but apparently it's not. I'm trying to remember what the game is called. Like Kingdom or something along those lines, where it's a side-scroller where you have to basically tell your people to make a town in the center, and monsters and things might attack you from the sides every now and again, and you have to go out and explore and get money and recruit people and all sorts of other stuff. I actually quite enjoyed them. It was given for free on the Epic Game Store, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And I actually found myself, playing and enjoying it. This is clearly a clone of that game. I really want to know if that's what it's called. If I could spell it correctly. Kingdom game? I guess what it's called. Yeah. The one I played was Kingdom New Lands, I believe. But it looks like they've made quite a few kingdoms. There's Kingdoms Classic, there's Kingdom New Lands, there's Kingdom Two Crowns. But if you know what Kingdom is, then this game, Monarchy, is the same thing. I don't know what sort of uniqueness it has over Kingdoms. It says, explore hidden caves, defend your kingdom with spear traps, and harness the power of the monolith for unique upgrades with different seasonal experiences and cooperative play. Maybe that's the new part. I don't remember Kingdom having any sort of multiplayer. But cooperative play, Monarchy offers endless strategic opportunities for building and defending your empire. It's one of those games that I guess it's not quite mindless, but it's close to. So you can just, chill and relax. It's not super stressful, but you have to be engaged enough to keep playing it. I enjoyed it, but this game is coming to all the things on November 6th, and that's the last one that I have for you guys. I probably dragged this out way too long, but that's just what happens. Sorry, Russ. So I appreciate anyone who's been here and has listened or has watched. I'm going to do my best to figure out how to get this on the official YouTube channel, and then we're going to also have to figure out how to get it on the listening side. But anyways, that's not for you to deal with or to worry about. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully next week is back to normal with Russ and me and all the proper stuff in place. With that said, have a great evening. Tell your mom I said hi.